man's getting a lot of attention this week. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani now reaching out to Jewish New Yorkers after admitting that he actually doesn't have the power to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and calling on the feds to do it.
Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal, the architect of a horrific genocide against the Palestinian people. Benjamin Netanyahu is not welcome in New York City, nor is any other war criminal at large.
So now Mamdani, marking the start of a Jewish holiday, decided to post this late last night, wishing a peaceful Tisha B'Av to Jewish New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs. From sundown tonight until tomorrow, mourners will pause and reflect on the history and resiliency of the Jewish people. May all observing have a safe and meaningful fast. To which Ben Shapiro responded this, quote, Tisha B'Av commemorates the destruction of the first and second temples located on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, Israel. You know, historic and current Jewish territory. Thank you for your best wishes, from Ben Shapiro. Obviously, a bit of sarcasm and a history lesson in that. Michigan Democratic Senate candidate Abdullah Sayed posting a similar message to Mamdani's, and he faced similar backlash. You know, you can feel this sort of attempt to kind of write something that was said earlier and to reach out to Jewish voters on the cusp of their holiday. Joining me now, Iranian-American activist and journalist Masih Alinejad, who has survived multiple assassination attempts by Iran, and yet Mayor Mamdani has not said anything about whether or not Iranian leaders should be allowed to speak at the UN. She joins me now. You know, your thoughts, Masih, first, and you know, on this back and forth from Mayor Mamdani sitting at that desk and saying that he's targeting Benjamin Netanyahu, and then sort of extending a hand to the Jewish voters.
You know, let me be very, very clear. I believe that he knows the social media and he thinks it's trendy to go after Netanyahu. It gets more likes, more views, and he wants the popularity. That's it. It's a populist statement by him. Why? Because, first of all, he's the mayor. He's in charge of actually New York City. When I mentioned about the city bikes, a lot of Democrats attacked me on social media and saying that he is not responsible about the city bikes. But is he responsible about ICC, International Criminal Court? And what I criticize, I don't care. If you want to arrest Netanyahu, go ahead. But I am against your hypocrisy, Mayor Mamdani, because you say that you care about children. That's my point. He said that he cares about the children of Gaza. So if anyone care about the lives of children in the Middle East, definitely they should be loud against the root cause of the war, the great sponsor of terrorism, which is the Islamic Republic as well. He kept quiet. Absolutely quiet. So the lives of children in Gaza is not the Mayor Mamdani's political ammunition. He actually used this as his political agenda. Otherwise, I'm a woman from the Middle East, we care about the children of Gaza, the children of Iran, the children of Iraq, the children of Syria, all of them being the victims of the Islamic Republic. Why Mayor Mamdani not saying a single word about the Islamic Republic? In his eyes, the Islamic Republic officials are welcomed in New York. Children are getting hanged right now. Yesterday, Irfan Esfandiari, only 19 years old, was hanged. Gul Mohammad Mohammadi was hanged. Mehdi Khanaki was hanged. Women are, right now that I'm talking to you, Marta, women are on the death row. Arghawan Fallah is on the death row. Zainab Musavi waiting in prison. These are not children. These are not people.
We have a picture of the picture that you posted, and we can put it up, of the 19-year-old boy who was accused in court in Tehran of holding the door open so that people could run off the street when the regime was shooting at individuals in the public square. He held a door open so that they could run to safety. Am I correct?
Yes.
That's what he was charged with?
It's shocking because
they hung him.
Since when I published the story of him being hanged simply for opening the door for other protesters running away from security forces, a lot of people ask me, how come really in 21st century people get killed for showing such compassion? Then I shared another video right in front of camera. Another man opening the door, allowing protesters to come in, and then he pushed the door because he wanted to stop the security forces to come in and kill them right in front of the camera, the security forces finishing him off, killing him. This is the Islamic Republic that the mayor Mamdani kept quiet about it. No, please let me finish that, because it breaks my heart coming from the Middle East, seeing that in America, politicians don't really get that. This is about our life. This is not about Twitter story. This is not about social media trendy story. It's about my life, and I have a simple question to Mayor Mamdani. Why you keep quiet about the Islamic Republic? Why? They're coming right now in New York. They will be here, the Islamic Republic officials. If Mayor Mamdani, you think that you don't want to talk about the Islamic Republic because it's miles away from you, Gaza is miles away from you as well. And these are the Islamic Republic, they send killers here on New York soil to kill me 3 times, and I invited you to be in federal court. You ignored me. 3 times in federal court, the Islamic Republic's assets, agents, received 25 years prison sentence. I hate hypocrisy, and I'm not going to keep quiet against hypocrisy, Mayor Mamdani.
I hope he gives you an opportunity. It would be great if you could go to City Hall and talk to him and ask him
why he is
selective about wanting to not have Netanyahu here, but he is okay with allowing, and we've been doing this for decades, allowing
they label us, they call us, you're supporting genocide. I support humanity, and I am against hypocrisy. And I am very happy to call Mayor Mamdani, dare, be brave, and meet with me. Eyes to eyes, I'm going to show you that how hypocrisy put the lives of Iranians at risk.
Everyone should want to learn more about what's going on, and if he doesn't have a full understanding of it, you're certainly a great person to give him that. Masih Alinejad, thank you very much. Great to see you today.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.